The Ultrabook and the flirtation with being a tablet. Not a very good idea. Thankfully, the Samsung Series 5 does not attempt that at all. This is essentially an update to the Ultrabook that we saw last year, the hugely impressive Series 5 Ultrabook, which was pretty close to always being on the top of our Ultrabook top 10 list on thinkdigit.com, only to be pipped by the HP NV4, which had slightly better performance and definitely a better build quality. However, with this one, Samsung has basically sorted out the issues with the build quality. The performance is impressive again. In a preordained order, let me run you through first the build quality, then the specs of the device, and a bit of how the performance of the Ultrabook is. On the outset, this is exactly the same as the Series 5 Ultrabook we saw last time out. Previously, we had reviewed the 14-inch version of the Ultrabook. This is the 13.3-inch version, so it's slightly more compact. The optical disc has been done away with this. On this particular version, both sides have the USB ports, the HDMI out, the Ethernet jack, the 3.5mm jack, and the power slot. On the top, the metallic finish continues as it is. There were certain issues with flex on certain parts of the chassis with the previous version of the Series 5. This is much better in comparison to that. The display, again 13.3 inches, slightly reflective, but does up for that with adequate brightness. It's fairly crisp, and the LED on this one is pretty good for color reproduction. Compared side by side to the NV4 Ultrabook, which essentially, incidentally, is not a touchscreen, let me remind you about that. The brightness on this one and the colors on this one are better. Coming to the touchscreen bit, how often would you actually use a touchscreen on a laptop if you're using it as a traditional laptop? The question is not often. So, whenever you do, this one will not give you any problem. Yes, the display hinge is not the tightest out there. In fact, the Dell XPS 12 and to a certain extent the Lenovo Yoga 13 were much stiffer than this in terms of the to and fro motion. However, this one does not rock back too much, so you would get used to it pretty much. The best part about this Ultrabook is the keyboard. It's very close to the MacBook Pro that we had been using for quite a while, and the fact that Samsung can reproduce that kind of precision, layout as well as key travel is actually very good. Coming to the question of why you would buy this Ultrabook. Now essentially there are two aspects to that. First is it builds on the package of last year with an additional touchscreen, a slightly smaller display which makes it more compact and better to lug around if you're basically moving around with the Ultrabook a lot, and better battery life. Now our tests basically peg this among the top 3 in terms of battery life. This particular version, the NP540U3C, is priced at about 63,000 rupees. There is no doubt about the fact that you are paying a premium for a touchscreen. However, do you really want it? If you want a touchscreen on the Ultrabook, this is the one to consider. It's fairly affordable and very good performance. If you don't need a touchscreen, then you would pretty much be looking to consider something which is slightly older gen. You don't mind that probably, but you would definitely get very good performance out of the HP NV4 and the previous edition of the Samsung Series 5, which is now available for the steal on quite a few retailers we've checked online, available for 45, 48, 50k for various versions of that machine. So you could check that out if a touchscreen Ultrabook is not what you're looking for. This one, for what it is a very good machine. It will get about 4 out of 5 stars in our Digit Test Center ratings and should be pretty close to the top of our Digit Top 10 listing of the Ultrabooks.